They're not coming back.今天是星期五，10月9号，然后9点20分，21分了。因为今天是要开会，所以不用上课，就觉得顿时很轻松。开会的话是在10点钟，所以我打算来涂个指甲油。然后涂指甲油之前呢，顺便练个听力吧。我最近特别着迷看这个，就是怎么样布置你的这个课桌、办公桌之类的东西。
We all need a space where we can feel productive, focused, and inspired. Hi, I'm Matthew Encina, and in this video, I'll take you through my DIY process of updating my workspace and give you a tour of my home office setup. I'm a designer and content creator, so I wanted to optimize the space for my creative needs. Overall, my goal was to have an office that is clean and minimal in design. The first step, cleaning up. When I first started this project, my wife and I were in the middle of redoing our bedroom, so the home office became a storage closet. It was a mess. Boxes everywhere, lots of old stuff we've been hoarding for years, and just way too many computers and devices. I took a hard look at every object in the room and asked myself, does this object provide me joy? Do I use this often? Is this important to keep? If it wasn't an emphatic yes to any of those questions, then I sent them to donation or the trash. The next thing on the list was to consolidate computer gear. Between my wife and I, we had too many machines and devices. Many were legacy computers we held onto since our school days, so I wiped what we weren't using and sold them. Once the space was cleaned, I wanted to update the accent wall so the space had more contrast. I chose a dark gray with a slightly cool tint to it. I used the paint with a matte finish to keep the appearance soft. Next on the list was the foundation of my workspace, the desk. I wanted a big long desk made of solid wood. I looked at many tabletop options and finished off with a 320 fine grit. After researching the different wood finish options between lacquers and oils, I ended up going with a Danish oil finish. This provided a good balance of the natural earthy look of an oil finish while offering the moisture protection of lacquer. I wiped on 2 coats of the Danish oil and let it dry overnight. The next day, it still felt a little sticky and was a little too shiny for my taste, so I wiped it down with a little bit of linseed oil and sanded down the top layer with my 320 grit sandpaper. This left my desk incredibly smooth to the touch. With my desk finally prepped, I was ready to set up my hardware. I work on both Mac and PC. I use my MacBook for everyday tasks like browsing, writing, and designing, while I use my PC for heavy tasks like 3D rendering. Previously, I had 2 separate desk setups for these, and now I had to figure out a smart way to incorporate both into a single desk. I used to have a mechanical keyboard and a wired mouse, but it was cumbersome to switch back and forth between devices. So after a lot of research, I found the Logitech Craft keyboard and the Master MX2S mouse was the best solution for my situation. With the touch of a button, I could easily click through and control each device. I love the low-profile design, the tactile feel of the keys, and the beautiful look of the materials because they match the rest of my setup. Also, the ergonomics of the keyboard and mouse are amazing. Underneath that, I'm using a felt pad as a soft surface for my hands and my devices to sit on. It also serves as a visual anchor to break up my desk. For my monitor, I'm using an ultra-wide display from Dell. the past, I've used a dual monitor setup, but I prefer having one big screen with lots of real estate for all of my windows. And like my keyboard and mouse, I can easily switch between my Mac and PC. To work comfortably for many hours at a time while maintaining a good posture, I invested in a few things: a good chair, a footrest, and a monitor stand. The chair was probably the most important purchase.
Here to show you today how I use this thing. So yeah, I see my phone as a tool. I know that in a lot of ways I owe a lot to the iPhone because without it I probably would be in a very different job. I wouldn't have been making apps for this thing for 5 or 6 years. But I use it as a tool for social time. What is this thing called? Phone app. Let's just call it the phone app. And then I have messages, Spotify, and camera. Those 4 are the ones that I use the most often and are most convenient for me to grow together while also growing on your own. I don't know if that makes sense at all. So anyways, what I'm trying to say is like I feel like moving out, doing things is like a little bit easier for me to kind of try new things and I guess figure stuff out about myself because when we're living together,
就会跟这个保护油的话，指甲会更亮一些。你看这个胶。
I think I wrote this in like fall of 2012, so it would have been fall of my junior year in college. The first thing that stuck out to me is like the margins are like we have to have like tiny margins where like even things at the bottom not cut off. So next is the objective section and to the end. Underneath that I have skills, which kind of talk a lot about leadership quality, communication skills, working in an organized and timely manner, which was really brought over from my previous resume. But I kind of maybe would have gotten rid of this entirely because if I embellish everything else, like if I made all of this part more descriptive and talked specifics about what I did, then that would come through no matter what. And then I would have had more space on the page, I would have had to do this weird margin thing that I did, and I would have been able to fit everything without needing to compromise the quality. And I think there would have been some really good opportunities to do so here. At the end of the day though, this was the resume that got me an internship at Intuit, which led to my first full-time job. And so again, this resume did its job, it was good at the time, and I'm grateful to it, and thank you for today. Alright everybody, thanks so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned a thing or two about what to put and what not to put in a resume, and maybe you also enjoyed being a little bit nosy and looking at what my past resume looks like. And I wanted to say a big thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring today's video. In college, when I wasn't writing a resume or in class or doing programming assignments, I was most certainly on Netflix. Why started watching content in one country? We even unlocked Netflix and other streaming websites in many other countries using NordVPN. It's also really important to use VPN if you're on a public Wi-Fi, especially at school or if you're at a cafe when you're studying. In order to protect your data when you're traveling or in public, you can have up to 6 simultaneous connections and there's no data logging. And it also works in China. It's really safe to use. They have a double data encryption for increased anonymity. There's also 24/7 customer support and a 30-day money back guarantee. So get 70% off of NordVPN. That's only $3.49 a month. You get an additional month free when you go to NordVPN.com/HelloMexico or use coupon code HelloMexico. That's NordVPN.com/HelloMexico or use coupon code HelloMexico. Information is also in the description box down below. Thanks again to NordVPN for sponsoring. Check out part 1 of the resume series right here and if you don't look at part 3. And that's it. I hope you all have a great day wherever you are. Bye!
Is we've had a couple of folks that are on our supply list back down and asked to be removed. So Marilyn Lee and Mark, they have both decided to step down from the supply list. I will be sending out an updated supply list really soon. There's just a couple of folks I haven't heard back yet from because we're checking on everyone's availability and making sure that we have a current list.
Okay. You're gonna protect the basket? We're pretending Bob's going to be on a diet.
Oh, baby.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, that's so mean.